Hello, viewers, and welcome back to Decidedly Vanilla Recap. Now, it's not a clip show. I will make this not boring, so please, if you hate that sort of thing, give it a shot, give it a chance. All right, so we started our, what I call Block 2 of episodes with episode 11, and this is where we had already got sent somewhere unknown, didn't know what was happening, and we actually started exploring this place. Now, I did this in reality on a single-player map, which, if you watch the series, you probably figured that out, and I considered a few different maps to do this. I just knew that I wanted to break up. I wanted to have something different in my series, and I was kind of inspired by Zisto. So Sky Island Survival was one option, but I felt like, hey guys, although it would have been cool if I had got sent here due to some misfire of some magical spell, what would I do here? Because I knew I wanted at least 3 or 4 episodes on a different map, just to really actually have some kind of story there. And there's not a lot of stuff you could do here. I mean, not a lot of stuff that wouldn't just be like grindy. But then I came across the Ant Farm series, and that actually looked really interesting. I think the idea is that you are tiny and everything is huge, which is kind of obvious, I suppose. But I didn't really focus on that aspect specifically, just that we were somewhere where there was already buildings. And for the first episode, episode 11, we really just kind of explored the surrounding area and established some story with the professor. And poor acting aside, this was where we first did the Star Fox 64 style communication back and forth with the professor. If you're not familiar with Star Fox 64, look it up. Just look a quick intro video or something.
Do a barrel roll.
But I was really happy with how that came out. But with that conversation with the professor, we sort of established that it seems like he knows what's going on, yet he's not giving us information. He's being difficult. Then he decides to take off to try to figure out some information to get us out of our predicament. Now, my script for episode 12 is really just explore, gather, just wing it, do whatever. But we come down this way, and I find this. And I did not plan for this. I did not place this. It's in the map. No idea why it's in the map. And so we go through it, and we die, and there's an episode. Something unique, different. The whole goal, right, of exploration is discovering something unique and interesting, and that's kind of why I wanted to play in a map that was already made. And interesting side note, I intentionally played this map blind, and so that my discoveries could be authentic, actual, wow, real discoveries. Episode 13 was another basic one. Essentially, I just wanted to gather a bunch of materials. I kind of came through here off camera because this map was pretty challenging in parts and kind of fun. I almost regret not playing through it as its own series. And my idea also for this episode was to build a few mini bases, which I don't think I actually did. But I also, while I was playing, noticed, where is it? This thing. This giant portal. And as soon as I noticed this was here, I'm like, this has got to be a part of my story. This was not a part of my story originally. I figured, how would I get back? How would I get back to Decidedly Vanilla? Probably through a portal. I mean, it makes sense. But I wasn't ready to leave this map. So, as the professor says, I should be able to get you home somehow. And he didn't mean for me to go through yet, but I did. Whoops. What do we find on the other side? And then we're here in this weird place. And I wanted to explore it more, but I kept getting really close to death. Again, a moment in time where this map was doing an amazing job. I never even went over here. I don't even know what's over in this direction. Yeah, this definitely seems like a really cool map worth checking out. So we go out. We almost die. We came over here. Then we carve out a little area to try to be safe. Oh gosh. Let me in. And then we're over here. And this effect was not added by me, but it matches the effect that I used in a previous episode. So I, of course, added that music because I just think that makes it sound magical. And as the story goes, we go through this portal, and since the professor has finally configured everything correctly, we go back to Decidedly Vanilla. Now, I think right about here is World Spawn. And none of this was here before. But Zloy had wanted to build some stuff, so that sort of got worked into it a little bit. And I like stuff like that. It keeps me on my toes. So I wanted a reason to go back to Old Haven, New Trevor, whatever it's called, this beautiful place. And then I also wanted to get back into explaining kind of how convenience magic works. So I kind of teased at that. But for episode 15, I felt like that was enough content. And the next episode, I have a exploration, establish, gather sequence that I go through to kind of try to make sure each episode in sequence is focused on a different aspect of Minecraft. Episode 16, establish. Oh, well, I'm back. I'm back on the server. I have a base. I really should make my base usable, I think, which also gave me an excellent opportunity to show off all the work that has been done on our little nether hub. Thanks for all the ladders. And so we get inside and we make it all nice and beautiful, and I'm really happy with how this came out. And I'm really glad it felt like it was going to be too small, so I started digging into the island. How much space I was actually able to carve out it turned out really well, I think. I also have on my outline set intervals of small story event, large story event, and small story event's supposed to be a little bit of story thing that has a small effect on the overarching story that I'm trying to design, create, write. In large, of course, would be something that has a large impact. It doesn't necessarily mean the story itself has to be large or the story has to be a bigger part of the episode, just that it has to have a larger impact on the overarching whatever. And episode 17 was supposed to be a small story event. That's what I have on my outline. But I think that's the one where we really established a lot of interesting things. The professor begins to position himself in a way like he's going to reveal something to us, which still hasn't got revealed. And he needs us to build a machine that he refuses or is incapable of explaining why, what it does, why we'd want to build it. It's also where we finally get the details of convenience magic and how it actually works. And if you missed that episode, on the previous map of Decidedly Vanilla, we had the library, the ancient library, which ended up being called by a couple people, at least Loy, the convenience library. And I definitely used it intentionally and abusively as a convenience, a place to get a convenient plot point. So if I needed a book that contained information about any topic, well, look at that, it's there. And so due to some catastrophic event, which still has not been revealed, most definitely somehow involving the professor, everything in our world is thrown into chaos. Buildings are scattered. Some of the original buildings exist, and then we're in Minecraft 1.9 or 10 or whatever, the combat update. I think that started with 1.9. I don't even remember. One of the things that comes with us is the convenience library, and with it is infused in me a power of convenience, taking the power of a book that conveniently tells me what I need to know and extending that. But I decide there needs to be some rules and regulations on how this actually works. So it can only work around a building that existed in the same world as. So, for example, convenience magic does not work here because here is not a place that existed before. But for any of the 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 buildings that I MC edited from the old server onto this world, convenience magic does work. But it only is able to give something that I would have reasonably been able to have. And that's because let's not cheat. Let's not use a story as an excuse to cheat, right? But let's have fun with it. Let's do something different. So convenience magic gets explained, revealed, and this machine I have to build, and I'm going to need some weird parts, and I'm still getting vague information from the professor. It's barely information at this point. It's just like in letters, in notes. He's not even talking to me directly anymore. Is he trapped somewhere? Is he busy? Is he just out of money and can't afford the intergalactic call fees? I don't know. And then last episode, which always feels kind of silly to include in a recap because it just happened. Just go watch it. But some fun facts are I had scripted to build a pumpkin farm, which we did, or I did melons, right? And then to set up some trickster guards, because I'm thinking, what items can I get from Old Haven and bring here and then build with those? Because that sounds like a fun project. And the farm, the birch farm, the fire farm, I was like, you know what? Let's just build something useless. And I hope that these farms, as dumb as they are, stick around for a long time. And so we build the room that the machine in quotations, is going to need to be in. We haven't built the machine. We don't have all the parts for the machine. What does the machine do? What does the machine look like? I actually haven't decided a lot of these things. And I ended it off with a to be continued. What's that about? I've never done that before. If you're watching this, decidedly vanilla episode, and at that, a recap episode, and at that, you're close to the end of the video, then you, specifically you, and a few others like you, in the same situation, are true fans of this series. And for that, I want to thank you for following me and watching this series and commenting and whatever level of involvement you've had. Thank you. I don't want to leave this series on a to be continued. Leave the series? What are you talking about? I hate it. I hate it when somebody says, oh, life's just gotten too busy and I just can't do it. But it finally happened to me. We have some life events going on, and for now I'm still making time for my YouTube hobby, but we always have to have that understanding that it is a hobby. I'm not making bank on this, right? I'm not getting dollar bills, yo. You know what I mean? And so for open-ended series like this, not linear games, even slightly open world, but they have a definite goal that you're trying to achieve, those are easy to make content for. This could take 2 hours, sometimes 3, for a single episode. I don't have that type of time to dedicate to a thing that's a hobby, unfortunately. And I've been on this server from what I call the start, the beginning. I mean, check my channel, check my playlist, check my website, bRanN.com. You can sort through my playlist there. You can easily find my Decidedly Vanilla playlist that way, much more easily than going through YouTube's system. I have in my mind a plan for a final episode. I don't know that I have the time necessary to do it because I wanted to make it epic. I wanted to do it really well. If I can, I will, but please don't expect it. I don't even want to mention it for that reason. I'm really good at getting grandiose plans and planning and over planning, and then them becoming too big for me to handle. So with everything we've established, there's a lot more questions than answers, and that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to start to answer some of the questions. So for now, let's leave it like this. If you haven't followed my previous series, and it's fine because it's so obscure, the professor is bRanN from the future, but not just me from the future. He's changed. He went through some major events, and there's some convoluted story there that I've established as well, but it's not relevant. Somehow this whole situation, us switching worlds, everything getting translocated, this Grand Master event that began the season, it's the professor's fault. Now, others might be involved, but it is the professor's fault. And it was done intentionally, but somehow this change was necessary, and the change is not complete. There is a second phase to this event before everything can be considered settled. And how that looks, I don't know. But this machine that I'm supposed to build is somehow supposed to trigger that next phase. And I could find all the parts needed for that machine and build it and activate it tomorrow, or it could take weeks, or it could take months, or it could take years. Some of the parts needed for that machine might not even exist in Minecraft yet. And so, to my fellow Decidedly server mates, run with the story however you wish. And as I have time, I will still be a part of the Decidedly Vanilla community. So you might see me occasionally, rarely, popping up in other videos. You never know. So keep an eye out. Keep subscribed to all my buddies. And as always, this has been bRanN. I will see you next video. Have a great day.